Hi there, here again with some After Effects tutorials. Today I want to talk a little bit about easing. Now, easing is an effect that we apply to certain objects to give them a slightly more organic or gentle appearance. Typically when we animate here and there, we have a stiff robotic feel about it. So what we can do is apply easing to things to give things a sort of in and out easing, if you like, and a little bit easier on the eye, as I say. So let's get down to it, okay? So I've got a bit of text on my desktop here, and it's easy does it. I'm just going to move this up a little bit and duplicate it by pressing Command D on my keyboard, and I'll see that After Effects has just simply duplicated that layer that I had selected. So I'm going to pop it down a little bit like that, and we're going to do a little bit of transforming this. So I've got both layers selected, and I'm going to press P on my keyboard, and that will access the position of those pieces of type on the keyboard. I'm going to press P again to make them go away. I press T on my keyboard. I've got the opacity parameters coming up. If I press S on my keyboard, I have the scale options come up, and so forth. So that's a nice quick way to open up all the parameters of an existing piece of footage or object. So what I want to do is access the position by pressing P on my keyboard, and both of the layers positions will be active. So if I click once in the position stopwatch, both of these layers have had their keyframes recorded at the same time. So it's a bit of a time saver, I guess, is what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to pull my current time head indicator across a little bit like so, and just somewhere like that. So I'm going to drag that across the stage a little bit like so, just like so. I'm going to pull my current timeline indicator back a little bit more, or forward I should say, and I'm going to drag it right across the page. So I'm setting up some animation, if you like. So my current timeline indicator here is at 2 seconds, and I'm going to push that forward like that. Now my composition settings are set for 10 seconds. That's more than I need, isn't it? That's more than I need. So have my current timeline indicator here where I feel that it might be nice, somewhere around 3 seconds, and pressing N for Nelly, on my keyboard will trim that composition to a point that I am happy with. Let's explore this little button down here, this zoom in. There's nothing to be worried about here. All this is doing is it's zooming up to frame level. So looking at it from a distance, if you like, and getting right up close into individual frames, and I can track back all the way to my keyframes, and I can see them at a single single frame level, if you like. Okay, getting back to our easing. So if I run this animation now, having trimmed it by pressing N on my keyboard, I might just pull that up, lay it over here. I'll press N again. Now my my footage is 3 seconds long, or 3.5 seconds long. I'll trim it back to there. Okay, so just by pressing N will allow me to trim that or cut that. So let's press space, and we'll see that it sort of jerks around, very computer-like, very robotic. So let's mess around with that. Okay, I'm going to select these bottom two, or the top two as you see it, and what I'm going to do here is come along to my animation keyframe assistant. Now you'll get used to coming into here, and by all means we need to explore more and more some of the things we can do in After Effects, but my keyframe assistant, I'll come along here, and there you go, easy ease, much like the name implies. It's going to create some easing. We can control that, but let's just see what we get first. We've got some little X's here now that look a little bit different from our diamonds on the top there. So all that's saying is there has been some easing applied to those frames. Now let's see what happens when we press our spacebar to run the video, and we notice that the bottom one is just a little bit more fluid, a little more easier on the eye, a little easier to watch, a bit more pleasing if you like. Okay, so look, that's what easing can do, and I urge you to implement that on that thing. Okay, look, one more thing before we go. As we've talked about before, I'm going to pull my timeline indicator out to there, and as you know, by selecting all the frames and holding Option, we can extend the duration of this little piece of animation. So I'm going to run that. So extending it, it might be a little bit more clear. Yes, okay. One final thing before we sign off. Let's select all of those frames again, and I'll use the keyframe assistant again. So animation, keyframe assistant, and time reverse keyframes. Let's see what happens there. So what's happening there is basically we're getting the reverse, and we run our video like that. So any bit of keyframed animation that we use, we can apply the easing, and we can also reverse the keyframe. So if you felt like it works the other way around better, try that. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Thank you very much. Bye now.